Hey man, I'm trying to figure out what make these people think they could just do all this political violence. Now you got senators acting violently. Yeah. One of the Democratic senators, you know what? Let me show you. You watch this. Watch this crazy behavior this man has.
We are staying here to liberate this city from the socialist and the burdensome leadership that this governor and that this mayor have placed on this country and what they have tried to insert into this city. So I want to say thank you to every single person that has been able to do this. Also, I want to talk specifically.
I have questions for the secretary, because the fact of the matter is a half a dozen violent criminals that you're rotating on your
I also want to
hands off.
How many of our ICE agents have been docked?
On the ground. Hands behind your back. Hands behind your back.
If you let my hands go, I put behind my back.
All right. Cool. Other hand. Lay flat. Lay flat.
Other hand, sir. Other hand.
There's no recording louder.
And you know, there's such thing as political theater, right? And a lot of what these people are doing is they think it's political theater, right? I'm going to go in, I'm going to scream, I'm going to say, I dare Tom Homan to arrest me. I dare Donald Trump to arrest me. Arrest me, arrest me. But I don't think these people realize the American people is tired of you lying, communist, low-down, dirty snakes. We over y'all. Like, so you running out, misbehaving, acting a fool, thinking that it's going to get you some kind of clout, is going to destroy you. Now, this is coming from this behavior. It's coming from the same party that said no one is above the law. This man himself even stood in Congress or in the Senate and said no one is above the law.
We rise today to defend the principles at the core of our democratic republic. That we are a government of laws and institutions, not of individuals. That no billionaire has more rights than any worker. And that no president has more rights than any citizen of our country. That we are a government of three co-equal branches, providing checks and balances on each other. And bottom line, that no one is above the law.
All right, so that's out of the horse's mouth. No one is above the law. We are three co-equal branches, and no billionaire can blah blah blah, bada bing, bada boom. Right? No one's above the law. Okay, so if no one is above the law, and you went in acting a fool, trying to confront Kristi Noem, then you tried to push your way towards her, and I'm going to thank the guys who stopped this, because there's no telling what that guy was going to do, because these people have derangement syndrome. They really are deranged at this point in time. This behavior is full on demonic. But the point I'm making is this. If no one's above the law, then why you coming out crying and whining after you was arrested? And finally, a point for you guys, not finally, an additional point for those of you watching, how many of us could go do some foolishness like that, get some handcuffs put on us, and then go out and do a press conference? How many of y'all can go and invade some kind of private meeting and act a fool, and then they just let you out? And then you come to a press conference and start crying and whining like this.
Senator Alex Padilla, you guys have some questions. I'm going to read a brief statement. I will not be taking questions, but allow me to read my statement. I'm here in Los Angeles today, and I was here in the federal building, in the conference room, awaiting a scheduled briefing from federal officials as part of my responsibility as a senator to provide oversight and accountability. While I was waiting for the briefing with General Guillot, I learned that Secretary Noem was having a press conference a couple of doors down the hall. Since the beginning of the year, but especially over the course of recent weeks, several of my colleagues, have been asking the Department of Homeland Security for more information and more answers
on their increasingly extreme immigration enforcement actions. And we've gotten little to no information in response to our inquiries. And so I came to the press conference to hear what she had to say, to see if I could learn any new additional information. And at one point, I had a question. And let me emphasize, just as we've emphasized the right for people to peacefully protest and to stand up for their First Amendment rights, for our fundamental rights. I was there peacefully. At one point, I had a question. And so I began to ask a question. I was almost immediately forcibly removed from the room. I was forced to the ground, and I was handcuffed. I was not arrested. I was not detained. I will say this. If this is how this administration responds to a senator with a question, if this is how the Department of Homeland Security responds to a senator with a question, you can only imagine what they're doing to farm workers, to cooks, to day laborers out in the Los Angeles community and throughout California and throughout the country.
You see him crying like a little girl. I had questions, and I was immediately thrown to the ground. I'm a senator. Guys, I wonder what was told to that man between the time they had him on the ground in them handcuffs with their knees in his kidneys and in his spine, his lower lumbar region. I wonder, these people crazy, man. I wonder what was said to that man in between that time period for him to come out there and cry and whine, because it defeats the purpose. Now, quite naturally, Democrats are cry bullies, right? They bully you, then they cry about it. So it's in their nature to be cry bullies. But what the hell did somebody say to that man in between the time they had him on the ground and he was licking that dirt? He was on his face like this on the side. And he was like, I'm not moving. To where they took him where they was going to take him. Somebody had a conversation with the man. I would love to be a fly on the wall. But then Mike Johnson came out and had a few things to say, which Mike Johnson should come out and say some things, because, Mike, you need to be handling these people. Mike Johnson came out and said, no, we're going to have to do something about this here.
Of the House,
yes,
the constitutional officer of this branch.
Yeah, and what of it? I mean,
the idea that you said this is a Senate issue. This isn't. I mean, these are members of Congress.
Yeah, but the Senate does its disciplinary actions over there, and we do ours over here. We have a certain set of measures, as you all know, and it ranges from censure to removal from committees to ultimately expulsion from the body.
And do you support that for the senator?
It's not my decision to make. I'm not in that chamber, but I do think that it merits immediate attention by their colleagues over there, and that they need. I think that behavior at a minimum is. It rises to the level of a censure. I think there needs to be a message sent by the body as a whole that is not what we are going to do. That's not how we're going to act. We're not going to have branches fighting physically and having senators charging cabinet secretaries. We got to.
He said, if this is the way they treat a U.S. senator, you can only imagine how others are being treated in these deportation efforts. What would you say to that, Secretary?
Yeah, I think his statement is absolutely ridiculous. This man burst into a room, started advancing towards the podium, interrupting an opening statement, elevating his voice, shouting questions. People tried to stop him from interrupting the press conference. He refused and continued to lunge towards the podium, and that is when he was removed from the room. So the way that he acted was completely inappropriate. It wasn't becoming a U.S. senator or a public official, and perhaps he wanted the scene, and that's what he wanted, but I think the American people are sick of this kind of action. I think the American people are tired of this. They just want the truth, and they just want to know what's happening, and that's what we were trying to provide.
Now, it's always to get both sides of good to get both sides of the story, and I need us to come to this understanding. When you're dealing with Democrats, especially those in power, not your next door neighbor. Your next door neighbor may be entitled, they may be a little Trump deranged, but when you're dealing with Democrats in power, you're dealing with some crazy, upside down thinking people. And I know you may be saying, well, see, bro, not all of them that way. No, every last one of them in power that's in a seat in our government is ass backwards. It's clear. It's obvious. Don't believe me? Remember, Cory Booker and Hakeem Jeffries came out and said, if you do this, it's going to be hell to pay. I guess the hell that we had to pay was these riots and what's going on. Then Cory Booker come, his big milk dud head looking behind out, making threats again.
And this son of Mexican immigrants who cleaned homes and served food, this man with equal dignity in this body, today was driven violently to his knees, as if made to kneel before the authority of the executive.
Now, let's just keep it real. He wasn't driven to his knees. He was slammed on his face.
Because he was so-called disrespectful. That should offend the consciousness, not just of the other 99 members of this body. It should offend the conscience of this country.
Hold on. Let me check my consciousness for a second. Is my conscience, are you offended? No. And he should have had carpet burns on his face. That's what my conscience said. I'm sorry. I got to stop doing this.
Because if you can make Alex Padilla forcibly kneel before this executive, when does it stop? He's a United States senator. And if you could force him to kneel to his knees violently, when does it stop? What does it say to other Americans who want to speak up? What does it say to other Americans that want to exercise their constitutional duty? What does it say to other Americans this weekend when they want to peacefully protest? What does it say to other Americans?
Excuse me, again, I'm sorry, it's my last time. I can tell you what it says, Corey. It says if you go out here in these streets acting a damn fool, invading places you ain't supposed to be, burning stuff up, burning cars, hurting people, that we gonna hurt you. It says that the days of y'all running around, running amok and acting a damn fool is over, and everybody's applauding it. Yep, everybody happy about it, Corey, except for you, you angry milk dud. I mean, this dude is the most angry milk dud I have ever seen. Let me get off this topic for a second. Let's just switch to one more thing. I want to show you where the Chinese Communist Party via TikTok is helping them and participating in this with this synchronized talking point that they're putting out. But they're not really good at it because TikTok creators are not really that smart. But, you know, so they just got like, I got a bunch of TikTok creators saying the same thing. And so I told you guys that the new Mockingbird media was social media. Everybody was like, well, I don't know what are you talking about. Here's an example.
Being in a country that you're in illegally is a civil offense, not a criminal one. You know what else is a civil offense? Jaywalking.
And being undocumented is not a criminal offense. It's a civil one. And if you've ever jaywalked, congratulations, because you've also committed a civil offense.
Have you ever sped over the speed limit? Have you ever drank or smoked underage? Have you ever drank and then driven a car? What about jaywalking?
Being undocumented in America is a civil offense. It's not a criminal one. It's the same caliber of crime as a traffic offense.
Just a reminder, in case anyone forgot, being undocumented is a civil offense, not a criminal one.
If you've so much as littered on public property, I never want to hear, oh, but they broke a law, as a justification for your hate.
If these influencers are choosing not to use their platforms, let's force them to. I'm tired of all these influencers not speaking up right now because things are happening right now in our own backyards, and some of these people are staying quiet.
I'm taking note of clocking in and following every single LA-based creator who is completely ignoring what's going on.
Where the fuck are all these loudmouth ass celebrities and influencers when they get on this internet and they dropping music, or they're dropping a collab, or they're dropping a motherfucking beauty kit, or they're dropping a motherfucking perfume? Baby, people are getting snatched up in the United States of America.
You reap the benefits of Los Angeles, and you're not willing to protect and respect the individuals who are the
Organized talking points for the new Mockingbird media on TikTok is what we're seeing. And I'm just going to tell you, let's just keep it real. See, these little TikTokers, these little influencers, they don't truly understand that they are part of a seditious movement against this nation. And so whatever little bit of money somebody paid you, and listen to Uncle James, whatever little bit of money somebody paid you to produce that video, you need to get that money back to them. You need to delete the video. Delete the video. Now, if you just dumb enough to participate in sedition, just because you feel like it, then I think you deserve to be arrested. But I need you to understand the NGO that gave you that money is going to be investigated. They're in the process of investigating them right now. And it's going to lead back to you. And it's going to have you being an influencer behind bars. And the majority of y'all, if y'all get behind them cold steel bars with them people, they going to do things to you.
I just got offered $200 a day to go protest ICE in New York. The organization was called No Kings. They said June 14th we're going to be protesting, and these are the streets that you need to be on, and this is what you need to do. You need to cause chaotic disruptions, and they said that there's going to be pallets of like bricks and different things everywhere that protesters could use. They really want to wreak havoc. It's kind of ridiculous. Me as an American, you know, although I need the money, I'm like, this is very, very unpatriotic. If I was to go take this money and go protest, it's not very American. It's not what I stand for. It's obviously not even, you know, worth the time. But, you know, $200 a day is what they're paying people to go protest. The corruption is up here because it goes way beyond these organizations. They want to destroy America, and you know, people like me that need money are gonna go do it. I'm not gonna go do it, but people are gonna go do it. They're gonna go destroy, you know, the city and cause chaos. It's just crazy that, you know, they're even paying people to go do this. It just goes to show that everything we deal with is corruption, and these people at the top level, like, who's paying for this? There's got to be some billionaires paying for this so that, you know, they could try to get Trump out or something.
Well, it's obvious George Soros is paying for it. And the point that I'm making, and him and a bunch of other billionaires, the point I'm making to everybody else is, to the youngsters that's too young to understand what you're doing to yourself, they're going to follow the money up. They're not going to follow the money down. They're going to get y'all to roll. And then that's y'all behind. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for this video today. If you enjoyed it, I need you to hit the like button, the subscribe button, the share button, but also check your notification bell to make sure it's on, because YouTube has been doing some freaky deaky things over here by not allowing the bell to be rung, and people are not getting their notifications. All right, I'm out of here. See you next time.